So I've got to say, we're locked down here in Sydney, and one of the good things about being locked down is actually you can get a whole lot of little jobs done. You can get that domestic list tackled and get that list down and down and down. And one of the things that I've been putting off for quite a long time now is my cable management, my system cable management. So today I'm going to show you how I tackled the cable management, what I used, and hopefully it'll help you with your own setup. Let's do it! So cable management, it's one of those things that if you want to have a really neat and tidy setup, it's an absolute necessity, but it's one of those things that you dread. If you're like me, I just set up my system, get it working, and just get going. And but I've got to say, lately the cable management and or as I call it, the spaghetti management has been annoying me somewhat. So I decided to fix that up. And I would say my first piece of advice, if you're going to do this on your own system, set aside I would say at least half a day. It depends on the size of your system, but set aside about half a day to do this. And let me tell you from experience, pull down your whole system and start from the ground up. What I did first of all is I tried to do my cable management with all my wires, existing wires, still plugged in, and it cost me much more time than it should have. So my first bit of advice is, if you're going to do this, just pull the whole system down and start from scratch. Pull your desk out so you can get round behind it and just work piece by piece on your cable management. So the second thing that I would say is, before you do anything, just take a couple steps back and have a look at your system. Have a look at your setup. You can see here the Gaming for XP headquarters, the Creative Center is quite complex. It's quite a large setup. We're running 3 monitors here. So just step back and just start trying to figure out how you're going to do this. And I think one of the ways that I did it, and the advice I've got, is try and break it down into sections or zones. And you can see, I'll take you through what I did for my setup. Is I broke it down to 3 zones. So there's zone A, which is where my Xbox sits, zone B, which is where the computer sits, and then zone C is where the PlayStation now is. So I broke it down like that. And the reason I'm advising you to break it down into sections is that I would suggest that, for instance, with zone A, isolate all the wires and all the cables that you're going to have in that zone. Isolate them and make sure that they're all in that one zone. Then do it for zone B and zone C and so on. It'll help you a lot. So you get all the cables that you've got, you rearrange them so that they flow into your main area. Now for me, a lot of my cables are coming from A and C, and they're flowing into that zone B, because that's where my main computer is. Things like my Elgato is moving into B, my microphone goes into B, zone B, etc. So it really is about understanding how the flow of your cables is going to work. It will help you a lot. So then isolate each zone and then work on each zone one at a time. Now the other thing that I would suggest you might have to do is just have a look at the cables and how they're flowing and see what the length of some of those cables are. Some of those cables might be too short, and therefore you're not going to be able to hide them. They're going to sit on the desk, or they're going to flow between monitors or whatever. So you might have to get some cable extenders or longer cables for certain things. And so just sitting back and looking at your zone and how it works and how it's going to work and how you're going to do this will kind of establish whether you need to get some cable connectors. Now we will get started. I'll show you some of the products I'm using in my cable management and how they work. I've gone for a very budget kind of fix for mine because I didn't really need much, but do some research on your cable management options online before you start. Pick the ones that suit you and then go for it. So I'm waiting on an Amazon delivery. That should be it now. let's go and see what we've got, and then we'll get started. So because I'm kind of locked down in Sydney, I've looked to get all this stuff online. So I'm using my true and trusted Amazon account, and you can see these are Australian dollars. It's only about $19 for some 10 foot of 3 to 4 inch braided split cable organizer, cable management stuff. So this stuff's pretty durable. It's pretty tough actually, and you can see it's flame resistant. It makes it says it makes it all neat and tidy. I've got to say, I've tried this already, and it looks fantastic. It just makes all your cables disappear. But we're going to go over to the workshop in a second, and we're going to show you exactly how this works, and then I'll show you a few of the areas that I've used it on before and after on the Gaming for XP headquarters setup. So this is the I've cut a little piece off, and I'm going to show you. I've got some cables here that we're going to use. So this is the kind of mesh, and you just cut it with scissors. You can actually burn the ends off to stop it fraying if you like. Just heat the ends, and it'll stop it fraying. But essentially, what this does is it opens up. It's curled round on itself, so it opens up, and the cables go inside there. It also comes with these cable ties, these cable ties. So here's a trick that I found is very easy to do. So here's we'll just grab our 3 cables here, you can see there, and what I found the best thing to do is actually wrap the cable, so I'll try and show you, wrap the cable tie round like this. And these are not permanent, they don't stick to each other. So wrap the cable tie around like that, so it holds the cables in place. Can you see that? Yep, you can. And then all you have to do is open this up like this. Open this up and just feed the cables in, and basically you just drop the cables into the length of this, like this, and you're done. And then what you do is you can then release this little cable tie here, and I'm sure this is not what it's intended for, so we've released that cable tie. Just pull it through, so there's the cable tie there. Tidy her up like this, and there you go, all done. And of course you can pull these out if you need to and lengthen them. But there you go, it's a very simple system. But you'd be surprised how much this, you can see at the bottom there how it looks, and then you can see what we kind of get. And it actually, because I've got black monitor stands, this just all disappears into it, almost makes it look invisible into the back of the system. I'll just show you the area we're going to play around with. Essentially, you can see in the back here, look at the state of that, that's just awful. So we're going to put that mesh in it, and we'll come back and show you what this looks like. And also we are actually going to have a wee play around with, I'll actually see it here. We'll just move this monitor out the way, all of this stuff here too. So I'll come back once I've got this done, and we'll show you the difference. So I don't know if you can tell, there we go, look at that, look at the difference in that. There are still a few wires lying around, but I can tell you that is a huge improvement on what it was. Huge improvement. And yeah, I'll tidy up the rest of the wires. On this side here, I just used the offcuts, so that has tidied that up nicely. Used the little offcuts, and then I'll just put that up beside the arm. So time to get everything put back together again, and we'll move on to the next product. So the second product I'm using is this G-Hole 60 pieces adhesive cable clips, adjustable wire, blah blah blah. These things look pretty big. They actually aren't that big when you actually get them, which I was a bit miffed by. I was a bit disappointed by. It's 13 Australian dollars. It's nothing. But these are actually great because they expand. You can see there's a little, and we'll show you how this works in a sec, but you can see there's like a little tab that you can pull back and you can get quite a few cables in this. So on the underside, it actually adheres to pretty much anything. So let's go over again to the workshop and we'll show you exactly how these work. The next product we're going to show is these little clips here. So I'll bring this closer to the camera. So these are little clips, and what they do is it actually opens up. Let me just, it's a two-handed job. Wow. Okay, so it actually opens up like that. So you can actually, because it was a little small, but because you can do this, it's easy to get things in. And actually, if you've got them stuck to, say, the bottom side of your desk like that, you can actually release them. The only trick to these is just make sure that you've got this part close to where you want to release them and not at the back, maybe at the front, so you can, if you want a quick release of cable in the future, that you need to just pull up on this. So generally how this will work is, I'll feed them one at a time, but these are fairly thick cables. Just clip them in like that. They're about to be clipped. There we go, we'll get the second one in like that. And you can see that that's pretty much filled it up. And there you go. Actually, we managed to get a third cable in. So you can see I got all those three cables in. So those are pretty thick cables. They're pretty standard thick cables. Plus I got the audio cables in to that without too much of a drama. And the very last product I'm using is this Scotch Indoor Para Interiors mounting tape. So this stuff's fantastic. This is only rated at £10 or 4.5 kilos. You can get stuff that's rated higher than this. I don't think you'll need it. This stuff was fantastic. It solved the problem for me. And actually, make sure you get the mounting tape that's kind of got a little bit of foam adhesion to it, a little bit of foam in between, because it'll make a huge difference. So what I've done is I've actually mounted the Elgato and a HDMI hub to the underside of the desk using this, and it's fantastic. It solved it. Actually, we also stuck an SD drive to the back of the arm on the iMac to tidy that up too, and I've had no issues. I tried some other tapes before this and it didn't work, so I've had no issues with this stuff. It's fantastic, and it should make sure that stuff is pretty safe. And you can see there, it was like $16 on Amazon. It's nothing. So really, if you add all of these up, you know, we're looking at probably around $30 to $40 Australian, somewhere in that region, to get all of this done. But which is not a lot of money. I'm sure if you're in the US or the UK, it's probably a little bit cheaper than that. So it's probably about £20. I don't know what that would be in the US dollars. It'd be about about 25 to 30 US dollars. So it's pretty cost effective, and it won't only take you that long. It just depends on your system. So I've crawled in under the desk, and you can see some of the cable management. Unfortunately, my LAN cable was a bit too long, so it looks a little bit messy. But you can see the clips are keeping the cables pretty well organised. This is all on the underside of the desk, so it really doesn't matter. The Elgato is stuck to the underside of the desk with the Scotch tape, and so is the HDMI hub, which you get a brief glimpse at. And if you were paying attention earlier, you might have seen my SSD drive stuck to the back of my computer as well. So these things are pretty good. They all do work very, very nicely. And you know, everything's out of the way. It's all supported, so it doesn't fall down. I think that's one of the worst things that you can have, is the fact that if you don't get strong enough tape or strong enough connectors, then they might just detach themselves from the desk and everything falls down and it all becomes a big mess. So make sure you're getting very, very strong tape if you're going to do this, and make sure the products that you're buying, just do a bit of research and make sure the products you're buying do have that strong adhesion, and make sure that you clean whatever surface you're going to stick these to before you get going. So there you go, guys. We're all done. We've got the desk tidied up a lot since from the starting point and where we were with all that spaghetti. And yeah, I tried to show you a little project you possibly can get done in half a day. Won't cost you too much money. It's a little bit inexpensive. If those solutions don't quite work for you, do some research online. There's plenty of cable management options out there, and varying price ranges. But for me, those products that I showed you today have really done the job, and you can see the picture of the desk looks a lot nicer. And since I took this photo and since I recorded the video, I've actually done even more tidying up, so there's even less cables visible now than there was. Thank you for that. Thank you for all your comments on the previous video, which was about the PlayStation fan noise. If you haven't checked that video out, make sure you do. And I love reading all your comments, and I do learn a few things from each of you every time I read your comments. If you like this video and it's been useful, a like rating's always appreciated. It really does help the channel, and we will catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya!